Today we're going to look at different applications of trig and try and solve some potentially real-world problems, as well as some other things that may be a little bit more complicated that we haven't done so far. Okay, and so first off, we're going to actually try and solve a triangle in this particular warm-up. So in our warm-up, we've got a triangle, and we need to solve it. And again, when you're solving a triangle, that means you have to figure out what are all three side lengths and what are all three angles of the triangle. Okay. In this case, we are given, so what do we already know? Well, we already know uh, the three side lengths, but we don't know any of the angles. Okay. And so because we don't have any of the angles, we can't use cosine law. Sorry, we can't use rather sine law because we don't have any of the angles, so we don't have a side angle pairing. So sine law is out the window. But because we have all three angles, we could actually use cosine law to figure out the angles. So let's go through first and foremost, and we're going to relabel this because, again, probably more comfortable to use triangle ABC than it is, uh, you know, FGH. So we'll just change this around, and we'll call this A, B, and C. Okay, so we're just changing the name of the three angles, and then we're going to label the corresponding sides accordingly. So across from angle A, we've got side A. Across from angle B, we have side B, and across from angle C, we have side C. Okay, so we need to figure out the three angles. So we're looking for angle A, angle B, and angle C. We don't know what any of those three angles are. So let's start off with figuring out one of them. And so for simplicity's sake, let's say we're going to figure out, well, what is angle A? And we know that we can use angle A because we actually have a side angle pairing. So we can go, we can solve angle A because we have all three angles, or sorry, all three side lengths. So if we're going to solve angle A, let's go cos A is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared, all divided by 2 times a times c. Okay, so now we're going to substitute in the values that we've got. So I've got cos A is equal to 9 squared plus 4 squared minus 7 squared, all divided by 2 times 9 times 4. Okay, so let's go through and simplify this a little more. We've got cos A is equal to 81 plus 16 minus 49, all divided by 2 times 18, sorry, 2 times 9 times 4, which I believe is 72. Yep, it is. Okay, and then we're going to simplify this even further. So we can do cos A is equal to 81 plus 16 minus 49. That equals 48 over 72. Pull this down a little bit. So cos A is equal to 48 divided by 72, or 0.66 repeating. And then I want to get A all by itself, so I'm actually going to do the inverse cos of both. Okay. And so A is actually going to be approximately, we'll call it 48 degrees. Okay. So with A being 48 degrees, we've now solved for one of the three unknown angles. So we can add that in here. So A is now equal to 48 degrees. So now we got to figure out either angle B or angle C. So let's figure out angle B. okay, just because we can. So let's try a different approach to solving angle B. Okay, we've gone through, we've used cosine law to figure out angle A, so let's try and figure out angle B now. Well, if we know that angle A is 48 degrees, we now actually have a side angle pairing right here. So let's actually use the sine law, because we haven't gone back to the sine law in a little while, so let's use the sine law. So we know that A over sine A is going to be equal to B over sine B. So if we go through and we substitute in our values, A is equal to 7 over, it's odd, stop writing for me, 7 over sine 48, because we just discovered that angle A is equal to 48. And B is going to be 9 over sine B. So we don't know what sine B is. That's what we're trying to figure out. Okay. So now let's use our sine law. We're going to cross multiply. We're going to do 7 times sine B, 9 times sine 48. So 9 times sine 48 is equal to 7 times sine B. So we know that we got to get sine B all by itself. So we're going to divide both sides by 7. And that's going to end up being sine B is equal to 9 times sine of 48, all divided by 7, or 0.9555, okay, approximately. So if we want to get sine all by itself, we need to do sine inverse to both sides. So we'll do sine inverse of 0.9555, and that's going to be equal to angle B. And so if I figure out what that is, it's going to be approximately 73 degrees. Okay, so now I know that angle B is 73 degrees. I know that angle B, or angle A rather, is 48 degrees. So angle B, we said, is 73 degrees. So now we want to figure out, well, what's angle C? Okay, well, angle C is actually going to equal 180 minus 48 minus 70. I'm going to run out of space. Let me try that again. So angle C will equal 180 minus 73 minus 48 will equal angle C, because we know that all three angles of a triangle need to add together to be 180. So if I take 180 and I subtract 73 and I subtract 48, then I'm left with 59 degrees is what angle C is. So angle C is equal to 59 degrees. So I've solved this triangle using what I know of the cosine law, what I know of the sine law, and also what I know of the inside total value of the inside angles of a triangle.